As we return to the pathway, we begin to see it through the life of Jesus. Before Jesus preached, before he performed miracles, before he called his disciples, something happened first. In Matthew 3, verses 13 through 17, Jesus is baptized by John in the Jordan River. And as he comes up out of the water, heaven is opened and the Spirit descends like a dove. And then the Father speaks. "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased." Before Jesus began his public ministry, he listened. Not because he didn't know who he was, but because the Father delights in speaking. And that's where listening begins. Listening begins with receiving what God says before rushing into what we're going to do. It's easy to spend our lives asking, what should I do next? What decision should I make? Where should I go? But before God gives direction, he often reminds us who we are. Jesus heard these words before he healed anyone, before he preached a sermon, before anyone followed him. The Father's love came first. And that's important for us because we often listen for instructions while God is speaking words of grace. Through his word, he reminds us that we are loved, forgiven, his very own children. And when those truths begin to settle into our hearts, our decisions begin to change. Not because we're trying harder, but because we're learning to recognize his voice. This is what it means to grow in your spiritual life with God. Not just looking for answers, but learning to receive what God is already saying through his word. So here's a simple step for this week. Stay with this verse. "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased." Read it once in the morning and come back to it later in the day. Read it again. As you do, ask yourself, what does this tell me about the heart of the Father? Carry that question with you throughout the week. And don't do this alone. Meet with someone and read Matthew 3, verses 13 through 17 together. Begin by retelling the story in your own words. Then ask, what does this reveal about God? What does this reveal about people or myself? Where does this encourage or challenge me? Who needs to hear this? Listen carefully to one another. You may discover that God is speaking to both of you in ways you hadn't noticed before. So wherever you're starting, make space to listen. Stay with his word. Stay with the rhythm and see how your ability to recognize his voice begins to grow.